If you have been following the news or watching TV anytime in the last week, you have probably seen a number of posts or news articles about the importance of washing your hands. And so today for our Bellringer, we're going to delve into that and look at it in a little bit more detail. You are going to need a number of supplies in order to participate in our Bellringer activity for the day. Please ask your parents' permission before going into your kitchen to gather these supplies. You didn't buy them in the first place, so make sure that you have the permission of the people that did. So for this experiment, you are going to need paper towel and or a dish towel, something to dry your hands with. And ideally, you're going to need pepper. Now this is the stuff in the pepper shaker on your table, just in the container form. You can use either one. If you don't have pepper at your house, see if you can find some garlic seasoning. This would work really well. Parsley flakes would work well too. And if you really need to, if you can't find any of those things, spices like ground cinnamon will be okay. This should probably be your last choice of all of these options, but you could use it if you needed to. I'm going to use pepper for the day because, in my opinion, that works the best. So after you have your paper towel and your spice, or your pepper in this case, you're going to need to find 6 plates. Now, these plates can be any size. It does not matter. They can be paper plates, they can be china plates, whatever you have, porcelain plates. And onto each of those 6 plates, you're going to need to put a healthy amount of your spice. So since I'm using pepper, I'm going to cover my plate. Notice that I'm not piling the pepper all in one spot. I'm sort of spreading it out. You're going to do that 6 times, so all of your plates are prepped to begin with. Now, for the sake of our experiment today, the pepper on the plates represents a virus or a bacteria, something that you can pick up when you're interacting with the outside world. And so understanding how these viruses and bacteria interact with water and interact with soap is really where we're going to go today. Now, before we try our experiment, we need to have a way to gather our data and to record it. So I need you to get a sheet of paper, and we are going to create a data table for our experiment. Now we are going to try this experiment 2 different ways. We're going to try washing our hands with soap, and we're going to try washing our hands without soap. So we'll need to make 2 columns on our data table for those 2 types of experiments. Now with any good experiment, it's important to try not just once, but multiple times. We call each time that we try a trial. So for our experiment today, we are going to complete 3 trials in order to have an average and a better idea of how the data compares with soap and without soap. When you're done, your data table should look something like this. You're going to want to make sure you have your data table and something to write with ready to go before you begin the next step of this experiment. So with that done, you have your 6 plates, you have your towel for drying your hands off, and you're going to also need access to water. Now, I'm using the water in my kitchen sink. If you needed to do this in a basement sink or a bathroom sink, that is okay as well. Just make sure that you have reliable access to water. When you run the water for this experiment, you don't want it on full blast. It's not going to work quite as well. Instead, you want to look for a water stream that's about the width of a pencil. So maybe you're using a pencil to write on your data table, maybe you're using a pen. But something right about there should be good. Once you have your water running, you're going to want to wet your hands down. Take them off just a little bit and walk over to your very first plate of viruses and bacteria. Take your hands and just press them into the plate, and you'll notice very quickly you pick up all sorts of lovely germs all over your fingers. We're going to do the first set of trials today without soap. So now I'm going to go back over to the sink, and I'm going to wash my hands together, just rub them together gently for 3 seconds. Not very long. You can count it out, 1, 2, 3. And then pull your hands out of the water and count how many bacteria or viruses, whatever you want to call them, you have left. Now 3 seconds wasn't enough to get rid of all of the little specks on my hand. So what I want to do is I want to count up how many there are left. This is why pepper works well, because it's dark. It's going to stand out in contrast on the undersides of our hands. You're going to count up however much pepper you have left, rinse your hands off the rest of the way and dry them on your towel, and then go over to your data table and record the number of specks that you found. Now we did this first trial without soap, so I would write my number in this box right here for without soap. I want to repeat that experiment 3 times so that I have an average. So I'm going to do the without soap trial 3 times in a row and write my data in. To find my average at the end, I'll add those 3 numbers and divide by 3. So my average will go at the bottom. Then I'm going to use my last 3 plates, and I'm going to repeat this experiment, not washing with just water, but this time washing with soap as well. Now the reason we have 6 plates is because once a plate has been hit with your wet hands, it turns into this goop, and it's hard to make it work reliably again and again. So when I wet my hands the next time, remember that I want my sink to be flowing with a water stream that's about the width of a pencil. I'm going to go to a brand new plate, and I'm going to do the same thing and press my hands in just 1 time. This time, since I'm doing a with soap trial, I'm going to add a squirt of soap to my hands before putting them into the water for 3 seconds. So 1, 2, 3. Notice that that was still not quite enough to get all the soap or all the viruses off of my hands, especially around the edges. There still are quite a few. But I want to count up however many I have, rinse my hands off and dry them, then add that data to my data table column for results using soap. Again, I'm going to do this experiment 3 more times. I'm going to use my last 3 plates, writing down however many flecks were left after washing my hands for 3 seconds with soap. When I'm done with this column, I'm going to add my numbers up and divide by 3 to find my average. Now in the Bellringer box for today, there is a spot for you to enter your data. You're going to want to give me your average with soap after 3 trials and your average without soap for 3 trials. Putting those 2 pieces of information into the Google form, pushing send, will get you your points for the day, and it will mean that you are marked present for science. If you have questions, please reach out, please email. I look forward to seeing your data.